1978 was the year. I was in Chicago and I had the opportunity to be on the original speaker staff of the Positive Thinking rallies. Anybody ever go to any of those? They call them the Peter Lowe rallies now. Get motivated. With average attendance about 15,000 people. It was a great boon and thrust to my career as a young speaker. But on the program that day was a man by the name of W. Clement Stone. Anybody remember that name? He was a billionaire. He was a prominent man. He had written many books. A success system that never fails. W. Clement Stone had all of us over to his home. He lived on the lake in Chicago the night before for a dinner party. Paul Harvey and his wife Angel, Norman Vincent Peale and his wife Ruth, Zig Ziglar and his wife Jean, and my wife and I, and a few other notables. I was the only one at the table who was not a notable, but it was a cool place to be that night, I'll tell you. But the next day, after I got to know Mr. Stone a little bit, we were in the green room prior to the rally starting, and I walked up to him, and it took a little courage. Here I was, maybe 28, 29 years old. I said, Mr. Stone, I know that you're a billionaire, and you've gotten all this wonderful press about how successful you've been. And it's obvious to me that you're in your later years, but I'd just be kind of curious. Do you still have a lot of goals? And he paused and he looked at me and he took that foot-long cigar out of his mouth. And he looked at me over the top of the glasses with those black eyes of his. And he said, Don, I only have one, and it's really very simple. All I want to do is change the world and make it a better place in which to live. I want to say, that's all, my friend. I was impressed by his answer. W. Clement Stone went on to do great things. He and his wife Jessie gave away over $800 million, and he was still a billionaire. He did great things in his life. But let me tell you what I appreciate more than anything else about W. Clement Stone. He had the courage to think big. As has been said, the average person functions on about 16 to 18% of their brain power. If that's even close to true with a well-educated group like we have here today, hey, maybe it's 30 or 40%, but whatever it is, nobody operates or functions at full envelope. Nobody gives it their absolute best shot every single day. Every one of us have reserve. Every one of us have a deviation between our human potential and our personal performance. So my question to you today, sure, I show up, I'm doing free speech, I live 20 minutes from here, it's no big deal. But if I have the challenge and I have the responsibility of standing before you today, my head's in the game. I want it to be a big deal. I want to make a difference. I never know when your last speech is going to take place. So I want you to know I'm here today to give it my best shot. But I want you to think a little bigger about your capabilities and your potential as a professional in your field. That's one of the greatest things I can bring to the table. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I went to the University of Memphis. It was Memphis State in those days, and I want you to know that I graduated there, and I was proud of that. But I also want to confess to you that I did not graduate in the top half of my class. I did graduate in the half that made the top half possible. You're all with me on this. I got to tell you, at 18, 19 years old, I was irresponsible. And I was going to college, I was going through the motions, and I went to class most days. But I want you to know, I did have 2 part-time jobs, and I was kind of working my way through, but I was majoring in partying, and I was still a kid. Is there anybody in this audience today who can identify with me? Is there anybody besides me who was a little irresponsible at 18 or 19 years of age? Well, I started with flunking out my first 2 years of college, and I knew at the end of my second year of college, it was about time for my grades to come in, and I got a phone call from my dad. He said, Don, I'd like for you to come by tonight so we can talk. I said, yes, sir. We agreed on the time, and I went by the house that night. And I was driving over there thinking, it's about time for the grades to come out, and they do go to my dad. He was helping me pay tuition. And sure enough, I got there, and he met me at the front door and said, come on, son, let's go in the dining room and sit down for a chat. Well, never in my lifetime had he ever said, come on in the dining room, son, and let's sit down for a chat. There was a special element of importance attached to this. I said, yes, sir. We sat down, he said, son, your grades came in today, and no better than they have been, flirting with flunking out again. He said, we don't have a whole lot of money around here. We don't have any to throw away, and I've been helping you pay this tuition. And he said, I'm really kind of tired tired of it, based on the return I'm getting on my investment. He said, I've just got a question for you. I said, yes, sir. And with that, he looked me straight in the eyes like I'm looking at you, Rob, and he pointed toward me, his index finger about an inch from my right nostril. He said, I just want to know if you're going to be a winner or a loser in life, boy. I said, Daddy, I'm going to be a winner. And he leaned even closer and said, well, when are you going to get started, boy? And I said, first thing in the morning, Daddy. And I did. Famous psychiatrist Dr. Morris Massey of New Orleans has a great line. He said, no human behavior change tends to take place until and unless there's a meaningful emotional experience. Now I want you to know that night in my mom and dad's dining room, I had a meaningful